Okay, hi, Justin Deering here, and we're gonna do a round two of this live coding. And so last night I was on for 3 hours, and you probably watched me mumble to myself and didn't know what was going on. So I got someone to kind of talk and run some color commentary. I got my friend Rashim. Rashim, you want to introduce yourself? Shamelessly self-promote. Go.
How you doing, everyone? My name is Rashim, and yeah, it's great to be here. Definitely.
Cool. Okay. So today I don't think we're gonna do much coding. What we're gonna do is we're gonna try to, what I say, DevOps this up. But let's kind of review what we have here. Let's go over the architecture, and then we'll kind of DevOps it up and what have you here. So we built we built this app. This is a NestJS app, which is a which runs under Node. So Node is server-side JavaScript, and TypeScript is just a strongly typed version of JavaScript, which gets transpiled down to JavaScript. But I guess with so JavaScript has nothing to do with Java. JavaScript is EMCA script, which was originally written for Netscape Navigator, and we are stuck with it, for better or for worse. And there's been a basically at some point someone said let's do server-side JavaScript, and then we had Node, and then if you use MongoDB, that kind of uses JavaScript as its engine, so you can have a full JavaScript stack and speak one language, which some people like. But anyway, I built. This is going to be this is basically like the idea. This is like a payment processor, like a PayPal kind of thing. We're not going to actually process credit cards or store real credit card numbers here, but it just seemed like a simple data model. I didn't want to build an e-commerce site. I didn't want to build any other silly examples, and this would be one day we might go to the point and add some encryption. But over here, when you can use the Nest CLI, so basically you can go into, let's start a new terminal. So if I want to start this from scratch, I could just do, actually let's go find the Nest CLI. Let's go find the Nest. Let's going up. The official Nest CLI. No. So this is the official NestJS CLI. So basically, you can just go in here. You can install this, and then you can install it globally to your global Node module. So that's not for your that's like your regular. This is for how you npm install. npm is your Node package manager, which is just like your cpan and your Perl and your NuGet in C# and all that. But you go install that, then you have Nest, and then you can basically run this new project. And basically the only thing I wrote here, the only files I wrote here myself were the Docker Compose, everything in payment module, and I wrote this ORM config.js. Everything here, and you know, I touched some of these files, but you get a lot of boilerplate here. You get unit tests, you get this running in a Docker container. You get a lot of stuff first run this, so you get a lot of boilerplate, and we're going to take advantage of these and we're going to fully DevOps this. So the first thing is I have this all stored in GitHub. Let's add this. So I forgot this module to make the module load up. You're turning us, Rashim? You have a question?
I do.
Yes.
So with all that boilerplate code that's in there, is any of it really truly needed at all?
Is any really? Yeah, actually, I would say all of it. It is all value-added boilerplate. So, okay, you want to dive into that?
A little bit.
Okay, let's dive into that. So first of all, so every Node project. So a Node, an npm project, you'd normally run npm init to create a empty package JSON. So this has all your dependencies and stuff. Okay. The nature of the beast with Node is there's no way not to have like a bazillion dependencies. There's a joke that this Node modules dependency is like, you know, more dense than like a black hole or dark matter. That is what it is. So normally you would get a relatively empty one, and Node by itself can act as a web server, but you wouldn't want to do a raw thing. The second raw thing you can do is Express.js, and the Up from one level up from ExpressJS is NestJS. So NestJS gives you just the concept of controllers and middleware and stuff, which Express gives you some of too, but Nest gives you a little more order. There's also, and then, then you can get something really higher end like React or Angular. I've been using a lot of Angular development at the day job, and Angular is really opinionated, and I was not liking it, but as I do things more raw, I'm glad I'm doing them, but I kind of like a really opinionated framework. But anyway, over here, so all these setups, the pre-build, the build, the format, these are all really useful things, like to be able to build it and to do a start in dev, which is, this is going to run away every time I edit. So I normally do a start dev command. So let me just show you where that is over here in our node module. So this is Visual Studio Code. This is our code. This is our terminal. We do a lot of command line when we're in Visual Studio Code. So if you're a Windows developer doing traditionally the old school way in full-blown Visual Studio, you're used to not doing a lot of typing except for typing your code. You got to be really familiar with the command line in Visual Studio Code, and if you're a TypeScript developer. But basically, you run this, and then every time I edit a file, it's going to say I'm going to recompile it. It's going to start the app here. Every time I touch a file, it's going to rebuild it, which I won't show you now because it's going to take a minute to start up. So lint, if I run lint, it's going to tell me npm run lint. So yeah, this is actually So this is value added boilerplate. I'll say that.
Okay.
It's absolutely value. I wanted this. I wanted it this way. And then I had a test. So right now I have a really dummy test. So so there's unit testing when you write code, and basically that means each class would. So each class here should, except for the models, because models are just don't have any business logic, should have a a spec file over here, which you can then say that, and you can say that, so all we have is a controller, a hello world controller was built in, and it says that here's the test. It returns hello world. We expect it to run. We say it get. We expect it to run hello world. So having that set up though, normally in JavaScript, there's not a built-in. This is using Jest. I could use NetJS or Mocha or various other testing things, but just to have it set up where here's the Jest config is a really useful thing. Lint is going to sit there and give me a bunch of all the basically errors or warnings in the code, so that's going to take a while to run. We'll let that run a little bit. I don't know why it's actually so slow. So we've got all that. We've got our test, and we got different versions. We have test coverage. We're going to say this will generate a report that says which lines of code, if they're green, that was exercised by a unit test. Red was not exercised by a unit test. That's a cool thing to have. This will run test in the debugger, so I can hit breakpoints and all that. This will run the E2E test, which are integration tests, which are more like it'll actually run the web browser. And it's not about testing one little module. It's about actually testing your app through a headless browser. And then this is type ORM. This will do some type ORM, which I added that actually. We don't need that. I should add a license here. So we got that. Our git ignore. These are just files that we don't want to check into version control. We don't want these are private files. So this was set up mostly up until here. I added the Vim support to not put all the Vim files if I added something in Vim, and the .env file over here, which is the environment, which I'll get into when I get into Docker. Do we have a Docker file? Oh, we don't have a Docker file. Well, maybe I'll add a Docker file at some point. But yeah, what else do we got? TS config. So this is TypeScript config. This is the configure. So by default, Node deals with JavaScript, not TypeScript. But you want to deal with TypeScript to have strongly typed job. But which version of TypeScript do you want? Do you want EMCA script 2017 or 19 or 20 or whatever? Or do you want to make common JS modules? And then I can go in here and I can set all kinds of options to be very strict about, I want the import modules over here. I want all these import modules to be in alphabetical order, or I want them to be where the external ones come first, and then there's a new line, and then there's the external ones. I can put a bunch of rules in here where it'll just yell at me here.
Okay.
So we've got that. Anyway, I ran lint over here, and it says, okay, so it says I don't need here, right? So I don't need join column. it said I never use this. So, like I said, there's actual value demonstrated over there. And then it decides that's short enough that this can all fit in one line now instead of in one line. It's actually been super opinionated about that. Why is that? Anyway, so we've got that, and now let's do a over here. So that's model. Okay, so we added payments controller. So now this is going to go. So this is we're going to go into Git. But so okay, so Git is distributed version control. So we keep our entire history locally and remotely. I don't have this hooked up to a remote thing. We're going to build that right now. We're going to do that live. It's going to be incredibly more incredible than my typing. Isn't that beautiful typing regime?
Yeah, I think that's you.
That's me. Okay. So I don't know what happens if I push this button and it will publish to GitHub. Let's try to do it this way. GitHub wants to sign in. Yes, we're going to allow it to sign into GitHub. Normally I would just go to the website myself and create the repo. Authorize, yes. We're going to authorize that, right?
Yes,
so,
you do authorize.
Allow. Open. Allow extension open. Don't ask him for his extension, yes. Publish to GitHub or private repository, right? So we're going to do that over there, right?
And usually for most of your stuff, do you publish it publicly or privately?
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, like work stuff, I will publish it. Well, okay, so most of my work stuff is using Azure Devops. That's just, but Microsoft kind of owns GitHub now, and who knows? I don't know. You know, so you have an option of Azure Devops has its own Git repos and its own pull request and all that, or you can use Azure Devops. So Azure Devops is basically a Team Foundation server, but it's Team Foundation server on the web. And
okay.
So it has a built-in source control, which is basically now Git, or you can do the old school TFS version control, which replaced Visual Source Safe. Plus it had, you know, tickets and work items and all that, you know, your workflow, project management kind of stuff. And then it had, you know, build and release pipelines, all that. But you can sit there and use Azure DevOps and point it to GitHub for the version control, and then just use the kind of the higher order stuff, the CI, the continuous integration, the build and the build and release stuff, and also the project management stuff in Azure DevOps. So that's an option. Anyway, so we publish this. Okay, so I guess we publish this. So let's go to github.com. github.com. So this is, but yeah, most of the stuff, most of my projects, I just like my GitHub profile is littered with a lot of like, if it's just a thing I'm working on and I have no intention of, I mean, there's no chance in hell a payment processor is going to, like, I'm not going to write it. I'm not going to really, I don't want to put credit card through this. I'm not going to write something in Typescript. I thought a nifty thing about this is one of the other things I deal with is column encryption in SQL Server called Always Encrypted. And I figured it might be fun to try that in Postgres, and maybe if I kind of just say, okay, it would make sense to encrypt the credit card number column if I do this. Oh, we have GitHub discussions. Okay, that's great. Okay, but we have our code here, and then we have basically, so we had a README like fully developed with all these things. I should probably make, I should probably get rid of all this, right? Because I don't want to, I don't want to advertise Nest. I want to advertise myself here. Let's do that first. Let's go. Actually, no. Let's go. MIT. Let's change our license here. Let's change a few things here, right? So we want to make our license MIT. MIT.
And what are you doing by changing this?
I'm just putting it under explicitly putting it in open source technology.
Okay.
So this is just, like I said, so this is the MIT license. So we're going to say license.empty, and traditionally to do this in GitHub, you would call the file license.md, which is Markdown, and Markdown is
kind of like a simplified text.
Yes.
Yeah.
What you said. Simplified. Sort of for like
Text formatting.
Yes.
It's very popular. I think everyone should learn that.
Yes, it's really great. Yeah, and it's really great. Just endearing. So we got that file over there. Okay. What to say? Add license. What happened here? Okay. Oh yeah. Added license. We're going to say, so normally you'd want to stage and, well, it's already staged. Probably didn't wait long enough.
I know, for everyone who doesn't know, can you tell us the kind of phases that you have to go through when actually pushing things up to GitHub?
Sure. Okay, so there's 3 stages. So one of my things I've actually done corporate training on is Git for beginners. But basically, if you're going to do this from the and let's do a change from the command line just to show you the step, because that's the easier way to do this, right? Software provided. Actually, let's go add a code of conduct. So let's go add a code of conduct. Let's see what the NestJS does. So code of conduct is just a rule that say that, like, anyone who contributes to my project, we won't harass you or whatever. So we're going to add another file to it just so we can show you the steps. And we'll do this from the command. Well, we'll do this. We'll even bust out Vim. Contributor comment. Okay. Well. Okay. Hopefully we get a markdown version of this. Text markdown. Cool. So. Code of conduct. So we're going to go in here and we're going to say. Actually, let's do this completely raw. So hopefully this won't have auto tab or anything. I can just paste.
So I know that sometimes actually posting certain type of commit, you have to kind of be careful what you're committing, because you can always like kind of, I guess, post the wrong changes that you're making if you're not careful of staging everything correctly. I know I've had issues like that in the past because you kind of go too fast and you're not pay attention to what you're actually committing to.
Yeah, that is a here we're going to just paste this over here. We're not going to use it just to make sure that the actual formatting is what we want. Yeah, no, you got to be careful. You got to be very careful what you're doing. So anyway, we're over here. We saved it. So we made a file. We saved it over here, and we can do it. We're just going to do it from just so we're a little raw. Okay. We type Git Status, right? Okay. And it's going to say, okay, there's untracked file, and it's even going to tell us what to do. It's going to say use git add file to add it, right? Code of conduct. Okay. Now it's staged. Staged just means that it's staged just means it's ready to be committed. Okay. It doesn't mean it's committed to the branch or anything. And we're on branch master. We'll get into branches later. Maybe we'll do branches tonight.
At all?
Is anyone? And then we want to commit it, right? So we want to do commit-m. And the reason we want to do commit-m, if we m gives you a commit message. If we don't put a message, it's going to open up Vim, and Vim is something no one on the internet besides me knows how to quit, apparently. So we'll go. What do you call it?
Actually, I will say it's because of you I learned Vim many years ago.
Oh.
I think if I remember correctly, it was you that got me into using FreeBSD for many years.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, I've not used FreeBSD in a while, but actually I did have one of my first jobs at the Unix admin was a shop where all the backend we didn't sell FreeBSD, but all our infrastructure was FreeBSD. But anyway, so we add, so then we commit it. So we committed to our repo and our branch, but that's just locally. So basically now, if I can't pick up my laptop and go get hit by a bus with my laptop because we'll lose the source code. But now that we do a git push, pushing it pushes it to the remote over there. So it sends all these what it considers a delta. Don't worry too much about that. That's more internals. We got there. So she added payments control of the module with our last commit from 9 minutes ago.
Okay.
We reset that. We reload the page. And we've got added a code of conduct, right? Mean review license. Private doesn't sit there and say the no code. Okay, so we've got this. Okay, so we've got all that. So let's go on and so the first step of DevOpsing something is getting in version control. The second step, you kind of want to have continuous integration, which is to run all the tests, which we don't have we have a dummy test here, but it's a thing we can do, and we can and then continuous deployment, which we deploy to a server, which usually continuous deployment you have to set up the server somewhere, and that usually costs money, or we probably won't do that. But there are two basically big things I use when I do CI and CD, and Circle CI is what I use for Linux projects. This is or basically anything but .NET.
Okay.
So Circle CI is we'll set up Circle CI, and